Thank you much once again to welcome you to Mason African Motives. We are going to be on business studies grade 11. So we are on term 1, preparation and revision. So we are preparing for the term 1 test that we are going to sit on. So the grade 11s, let us be together from the start of this presentation to the end of it, as to make sure that we are very ready and well prepared to write the term 1 test. So let us move on. So this question paper that you're going to prepare ourselves with, it was written in March 2025. So the marks that are awarded are 100 marks, and you are only to take 1 and 30 minutes to write this paper. That is that. So now let us go to the instructions and information. Instructions and information. Read the following instructions carefully before answering the questions. This question paper consists of 3 sections and covers section A, which is compulsory. Section B consists of 3 questions. You are to only answer 2 of the 3 questions in this section. But as we are preparing, we are going to make sure that we answer them all. So we also have section C, which we are going to do later in the next presentation, which consists of 2 questions, and you are to answer 1 question. But like I've said, as you're going to make sure that we attend to all the questions that are asked on this question paper. Instruction number 2, read the instruction for each question carefully and take particular note of what is required. Very important. Number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in this question paper. No marks will be awarded for answers that are numbered incorrectly. So it is very important to make sure that your numbering system is correct. Except where other instructions are given, answers must be in full sentences. That is instruction number 4. Instruction number 5, use mark allocation and nature of question to determine the length and depth of the answer. Use the table below as a guide for the mark and time allocation when answering each question. So you are to go through this table. So instruction number 7, begin the answer to each question on a new page. For example, question 1 on a new page, question 2 on a new page. Instruction number 8, you may use non-programmable calculator. The last instruction, write neatly and legibly. Hope you all understand these instructions. Instructions are very important. Don't ever ignore them. So let us move on to section A, question 1. So we are on section A, question 1. We know very well that on our instruction, we're told that this section A is compulsory. So it is a must question for us to answer it. So that is that. 1.1. Four possible options are provided as answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write letter A to D next to the question number. For example, 1.16, the answer is A. That is an example. So now let us start with the business of today. 1.1.1, Maropa Archer MA experiences lower levels of productivity due to high employee absenteeism. So MA, Maropa Archer, is affected by dash environment. So we are given 4 possible answers, and then we have to look for the correct answer. So you can see the correct answer there is D, micro environment. environment. We are saying it's micro environment because the employees, the employees are the components of a macro environment because they are found within the business, and the business can be able to control. They have a full control of that. So it means, as we are told that there is a high employee absenteeism, they can control that. So that is that the correct answer is micro environment. Now let us move on to 1.12. Political strike targeting the official opening ceremony of a local business more relate to dash environment. We are talking about the political strike. So now we're given these four possible answers: macro, market, tertiary, and micro. So the correct answer there is macro. We know macro refers to the broader economy, looking at the national or global trends. So whenever we're talking about the political strike, that falls under macro environment. We have no control on that. You know, we cannot control, you cannot, as an individual person, stop the political strike. So this is macro environment. Now let us move on to 1.13. There's two business of similar sizes willing to combine to become one. Then we are given four possible answers: hedging, takeover, measure, alliances. So the correct answer there is measure. As we know, measure, that is when two companies combine to form a new entity, often to increase market share or reduce competition. So like we said, we're told that we hear that two business of similar sizes willing to combine to become one. So the correct answer is measure. Now let us move on, good people. We are now on 1.14. Kim, another music artist, has lodged a complaint that DJ Sijahobe remixed his without his permission. His complaint is based on, then we're given four possible answers, and the correct answer there is D, copyright. We know that copyright is a legal protection for original creative works like writing, music, or software. So his complaint is going to be based on copyright. Now let us come to 1.15. 1.15, the way of forming power relations on how business must invest time and energy to recruit the right person for the job is through, then we're given strategic alliance, company representative influence, organizational design and flexibility, government representatives influence. So the correct answer there is company representation influence. So that is that. So that is when a company or when an individual acts on behalf of the company. So that is that. So now let us move on to 1.2. Let us be on 1.2. So here we are on 1.2. 1.2 says, complete the following statement by using the word in the list below. So this is the list that you're talking about. We're going to use these words that are in this list. So they say write only as next to the question number. For example, 1.21 to 1.25 in your answer book. So you write only word next to the question number. So this is the list that we are given: primary, customer, micro, changes in consumer behavior, industrial relations, management structure, secondary, macro, industrial action, as well as psychographics. So now let us quickly come to the questions. Dash relates to one of the components of the market environment. So now we go through all this and see the component of market environment. The component of market environment. So we can see that the component of market environment are what? The customers. Customers are the component of market environment. We know that business, they have a little control on the market environment. Like as we are saying, customers is the correct answer. Business has little control on customers. They cannot control them, but they can influence them. So the component of market environment there is customers. Polokwane Sense Specialized, that is 1.22. Polokwane Sense specializes with sales of sand collected from the local river. It operates in the dash sector. It operates dash sector. So here we are talking about the economic sectors. And we know very well that under economic sectors, we have primary sector, we have secondary sector, we have tertiary sector. With primary sector, this is the extraction of natural resources. You're talking of raw materials. For example, gold mine in South Africa, that is that. Secondary sector, that is where you're talking about manufacture or processing of raw materials into finished goods. For example, let's make an example of a factory in Devon turning steel into car parts. That is that. But with tertiary sector now, that is providing services, that is intangible goods. For example, we can say a bank in Cape Town offering financial advices. So that is that. So now as we read this statement, Polokwane Sand specializes with sales of sand collected from the local river. So it shows that this is what? A primary sector. A primary sector. This is the extracting of natural resources because they Polokwane Sand, especially the sale of sand collected from the local river. Local river. They just extract the sand from that local river. So that is a primary sector. That is that. Now let us move on to 1.23. Let us go to 1.23. Barokwa fast food studied the attitudes, taste of their target market. So this is an example of what? So we are given this list. We are given this list. So in this list, you can see that A, psychographics is a correct answer. We are saying psychographics. Psychographics, because when you talk of psychographics, that is a studying consumers' value, taste, lifestyles, attitudes, like the statement says. So the correct answer there is psychographics. Let us move on to 1.24. The interaction between employees and management is known as. So the correct answer is industrial action. Industrial relations, sorry. Industrial relations. So industrial relations, because when you talk of industrial relations, we're talking about management-employee interactions and workplace dynamics. For example, on that, negotiating unit contracts at a manufacturing plant, that is industrial relations. Let us move on to the last one on 1.2, which is 1.25. The business has full control over the dash environment. So there the correct answer is micro. Is micro environment. Is micro environment. So we know that the business has what? Full control over micro environment. We have said the components under micro environment you talk of employees, and they are found inside the business. We talk of visions and missions of the business, which you know very well that we have control, we can change them. So that is that. So that is all about the question 1.2. So meaning to say now we have to move on. So now we have to move on to section B. We are to move on to section B. Remember section B on our instruction, we are told that we are to answer only 2 questions in this section. But like I've said, that as we are preparing ourselves to be fit to sit for the coming test that we're going to write for term 1 business, that is grade 11, we are going to answer all these questions under section B. Hope we are together. That is given there. It says, clearly indicate the question number of each question that you choose. So that is when you choose the questions like we are told that you have to answer 2 questions. So you clearly indicate the question. So the answer of each question must start on a new page. Each question 2 on a new page, question 3 on a new page. So now let us be on question 2, business environments. So 2.1, give 4 examples of contemporary legislation that may affect business operations. That may affect what? Business operations. So let us go to our answers here. So here we are on our answers under that. Examples of what? Contemporary legislation that may affect business operations. So we have what? National Credit Act. So with National Credit Act, good people, National Credit Act protects consumers against unfair credit practices and regulates how business give credit. So that is that. For example, a financial store must check customers' ability to repay before offering higher purchase. We'll be together on that. So another example of contemporary legislation that may affect business is Consumer Protection Act. So with Consumer Protection Act, that is where we are saying it protects consumers from unfair business practices and poor quality services. For example, a customer can return a full ticket within 6 months for a refund or a replacement. That is that. So another contemporary legislation is Employment Equity Act, EEA. So with this one, it promotes equal opportunities and fair treatment in the workplace. For example, a company must ensure fair hiring practices and not discriminate based on race or gender. Hope you're together on that. So another one can be Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act. So with this one, which we call BBEE, it's all about encouraging economic participation of previously disadvantaged groups. So that is that. Then we have Basic Conditions of Employment Act. So that is another contemporary legislation. So this Basic Conditions of Employment Act, BCEA. So this one sets minimum employment standards. For example, you can talk of what? Working hours, leave, payment, like that. So that is that. Labor Relations Act also it is one of the contemporary legislation. So this one governs employer-employee relationships. You can talk of unions, disputes, strikes. So that is that. Then we have Skills Development Act. We have what? Skills Development Act. So this act is all about making sure that those previously disadvantaged people who were denied to to be knowledgeable, to get skills. So this act makes sure that the people can, the employees now they can be able to get proper knowledge, skills, so that they can get promotions or they can access jobs. So that is that. Then we have compensation for occupational injuries and disease act, COIDA. So this one provides benefits for work-related injuries or illness. So for example, covering medical costs for an employee injured on the job. So that is that. So now let us move to 2.2. Let us move on to 2.2 question. 2.2 says, explain globalization of international challenges as one of the macro environment challenge. So that is that where we're going to talk about globalization or international as a challenge of macro environment. So let's quickly go to as well to our answers. So here we are for globalization or international as a challenge of the macro environment. So like it says, globalization refers to the exchange of products or services, capital and labor across boundaries and or countries. So what it means that it encourages economic participation. It encourages economic participation. It encourages economic participation of previously disadvantaged groups. So that is that. So now also local business. Local business are competing with international business for local consumers. Meaning to say, foreign business compete for the same customers as local ones. That is that. Here we're talking about that competition of local as well as what? Of the foreign businesses. So let us move on. Business should be aware of global networks and their effects. So what it means is that business must understand global supply chains and trends. For example, a retailer is affected when international shipping delays. Okay, so that is that. The overseas migration of skilled labor can result in local skills shortage. That is that. So here we are talking about skilled labor migrating overseas. You were talking about skilled labor migrating overseas. Overseas. So, meaning to say skilled workers leave the country for better opportunities. For example, South African engineers move to Europe for higher salaries. So that's what the statement means. Also, it further on to say this means more competition for business that are already under pressure to compete locally. Here we are talking about the increased competition for local businesses. We're talking about what? Increased competition. Increased competition for local businesses. For local businesses. Increased competition for local businesses. What it means is that more competitors make it harder to survive in the market. For example, local factories struggling against cheaper imported goods. That is that. So that is that. It further on to say some international business dumped their product lines in South Africa at a price lower than those at which local business can afford to sell them. So here we are talking about dumping of cheap products in South Africa. Dumping of cheap products in South Africa. So foreign companies sell goods at a very low prices to gain market share. That is that. So any other relevant answers related to globalization or international as the macro environment challenges are accepted. So now let us go to 2.3. Let us go to 2.3. 2.3 read as follows. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follows. That is 2.3. MFC have been selling fried fast food in a mobile kitchen next to Habani shopping complex over the past 5 years. Recently, MFC, that is Monster Fish and Chips, appointed a new manager who is the son of the owner of MFC with no relevant skills. A new fried food restaurant started operating 2 weeks ago when government announced the higher minimum wage. So now it says, use the table below as a guide to answer the questions. So as you can see, we have challenges, we have business environments, we have extend control. That is that. So now we are to answer them. We are given what the business environments. Business environments are given already, but challenges and extend control are not given. So the first challenge is that new manager appointed who lacks skills. New manager. Recently, MFC appointed new manager who is the son of the owner with no relevant skills. So now we are going to say that you're going to have a new manager appointed who lacks what? Skills. So this is found in micro environment. So now, what is the extent control of this? That is full control. Because it is within the business. So the business is full control of that. Can change that. So here we have said the challenge is what? New manager appointed without the skills. Appointed without what? Without the skills. So that is that. Now coming to the market environment. Coming to the market or business environment, we can see now the challenge there is what? New fried food restaurant opens nearby. New fried food restaurant open nearby. So that is in market environment. So what about the extent control under there? The extent control is limited or partial. Is what? Limited or partial. So it means the business has no control. It has a limited or partial control. All they can do is to influence. So that is that. So here we have said the challenge is that what is the new fried food restaurant opens nearby. The competitor is the one that becomes what? The challenge. Now coming to the macro environment. Coming to the macro environment. We want to know the challenge under micro environment. The challenge under micro environment is that government laws affect businesses. Government laws affect the businesses. So that is found under micro environment. So government laws, the business cannot control that. So they have no control. No control. So that is that. So with these challenges, you can see that under market environment, here is a new fried food restaurant started operating 2 weeks ago, which is a competitor. So that is a challenge under market environment. And then the challenge under micro environment, when a government announced the higher a minimum wage. So that is when now we are talking about what? Government laws, which the business has no control. Hope we are together on that. A great events. Let's just see those answers. Here are those answers that we are talking about. Here are those answers. We have seen that from our scenario that the MFC about the new manager who is the son of the MFC, and that new manager is without relevant skill. So this is a challenge. So this is under micro environment, and the business can have what? A full control of that. But under market environment, from the scenario, we have said there is a competitor that opens the business nearby this one. Like it says, a new fried food restaurant started operating 2 weeks ago. So this is a challenge now, which is a market. So this one, the business is a partial, limited, or less control because they can influence customers to buy from them. They can come up with quality products that can lead customers not to go to the business that have just operated nearby. So that is why we're saying they have a partial or limited or less control. When government announce high minimum wage, now this one is under macro environment. We cannot change that as a business. We cannot change the government laws. That is why we have no control. Hope we are together on that. Let us move on to question 2.4. Question 2.4. Because 2.31 we have already talked about, and 2.32. That was, you could one challenge from the scenario. Also, you state the extent control. MFC has over each business environment. We already did that. So we are to be on question 2.4. Advice on the advantages of the business that are involved in the macro environment. Advice on the advantages of business that are involved in the macro environment. We are talking about the advantages of business involved in the micro environment. So let's quickly go to our answers. So here are our answers. 2.4. Advantages of business that are involved in the macro environment. So the first one says they will gain good publicity and so attract and retain loyal customers. We are talking about gain good publicity. Gain good publicity. Meaning to say business become well-known and trusted. Business become well-known and trusted. That is that. They will attract and retain skillful employees in their communities. Attract and retain skilled employees. So employees prefer socially responsible business. Employees prefer socially responsible business. That is what it means. Now moving on. Government tenders and contracts are normally given to businesses that are involved in the macro environment. So meaning to say they will receive government tenders and contracts. They will receive government tenders and contracts. So that means government supports responsible business. So that is the one of the advantage of the business that are involved in the macro environment. Business that support their communities normally get some tax rebates. So that's that. So this means that anticipate challenges and turn them into, no, sorry. We have said what? The business that support community, normally they get some tax rebates. That is the benefit that they're going to get. Hope we are together on that. Business that get involved in the microenvironment can anticipate likely challenges and diverse strategies to turn them into opportunities. So here we are told that they anticipate challenges and turn them into opportunities, meaning to say business prepare for changes in the environment. Business prepare for changes in the environment. So that's that. Top investors are attracted to business that are involved in the macro environment. So that's what we are told, that top investors, they always want to make business or invest with the business that are involved in the macro environment. It prevents environmental damage by decreasing the business carbon footprint. That is that. Knowing people's age and gender and customs and traditions and preferences will make it easier for business to appeal to customers. So any relevant answer related to advantage of business that are involved in the macro environment is accepted. Okay, now let us move on to question 3. Let us move on to question 3. So here we are on question 3, business environments. 3.1, give 4 examples of networking in business. So here are our answers. So that is that. The examples of networking. So we are talking about formal networking. That's when you talk of organized provincial, national chambers of business, industry, and commerce. So it means you're talking about the organized and structures networking through official business bodies. For example, we can talk about a business owner joins the Chamber of Commerce to meet other businesses. That's when you're talking about what? A formal networking. Also, we have what? Informal networking. As it says, social and less organized coordination. So here we're talking about casual and less structured social interaction that builds business relationships. For example, entrepreneurs discussing business opportunities at social event. So that is that. Also, it further on says, for instance, business managers often network while playing or golf, attending sports events, get involved in social programs. So that is that. This is whereby we network through like you said that sports or business managers often network while playing golf or attending sports events or getting involved in social programs. So that means we are saying that is networking through sports or social activities. For example, a manager meets potential clients while playing golf. So that is that, where we see business connections formed while taking part in sports or community activities. Also, it further on says social media and internet. new and cheap ways of business to network via online forums as well as business groups. Here we are talking about social media and internet. That is using online platforms to connect and communicate with other businesses. That is that. So any relevant answer related to the examples of networking are accepted. So that is 3.1. So let us go to 3.2. So 3.2, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. So here we have Mohwadi Machine Manufacturers Triple M. So Triple M invented a special wine corporated machine that will be leased to restaurant. So the management of MMM applied for the sole right to own the machine and to prevent others from making their own invention. So 3.21, identify the solution to piracy from the scenario above. From the scenario above. That is 3.21. So the answer for 3.1 is a patent. Is what? A patent as a solution to piracy. So we know that this prevents others from producing or selling the same product. So a patent gives the inventor exclusive rights to the product. Get me? Straight. So that is that. So now let us move on to 3.22. Explain the solution to piracy identified in 3.21. Explain the solution to piracy identified to 3.21, which is a patent. So now we want a patent now as a solution to piracy. As it says, a patent prevents other business or people not to produce and sell the same products or specific services. It means now a patent gives the inventor exclusive rights to the product. For example, only the patent holder may manufacture a new phone design. That is that. Also, business can take out a patent for new inventions and include sample of the invention with the application. So here we are trying to say patents protect new inventions. Patents protect what? New inventions. Meaning to say business can patent original inventions to prevent copying. For example, a company patents a new water-saving device. So that is that. So they must register the patent with the Patents Office in South Africa. So must be registered with the Patents Office. So what it means is that legal protection only applies once the patent is officially registered. That is that. The invention must comply with the Patent Act number 57 of 1978. So here we're talking about compliance. Must comply with the Patent Act. So the invention must meet legal requirements set out in the law. Hope we're together. They can bring legal proceedings against anyone who uses the invention. So patent holders can sue anyone who uses the invention illegally. So that is that. So any relevant answer related to the patent as solution to piracy is accepted. So now let us move on to 3.3. Discuss persuasion of large investors as one of the ways business form power relations. So here we are with our answers. Here we are with our answers. Persuasion of large investors is one of the ways business form power relation. So as it is, if business has a power investor, the business can often benefit from the relationship so that it can get credit more easy and better deals from suppliers. So here we're talking about easier access to credit. We're talking about easier access to credit. So that is that. It means that investors increase trust in the business. For example, a bank approves a loan because a major investor supports the business. That's what we mean. So it further on say business invite powerful, influential people to sit on the board of directors in order to get advice from those people. So here we're talking about the influential investors on the board. We are talking about influential investors on the board. So what it means is that experienced investors help guide business decisions. For example, a well-known business leader sits on the company's board. That is that. Having such power as a part of the business may have positive influence on the reputation and the image of the business. Here we are talking about the improving of reputation and image. So we are saying improves reputation, and image because investors give the business credibility. If a business is a large or powerful investor, the business can create it more easy and get better deals from suppliers. That's that. So when you're talking about better deals from suppliers, here we're talking about what? Better deals from suppliers. So that is that. It means suppliers offer discounts due to the business strong backing. So any relevant answer related to position of large investors as one of the business from power relations is accepted with people. So now let us be on 3.4. 3.4. Suggest ways in which business can have direct influence on the environment. So let's quickly go to our answers. 3.4. Ways in which business can have a direct influence on the environment. It first is said business need to be flexible by getting involved in research or development so that they can continue to operate. Meaning here we are talking about research and development. We're talking about research and development. Business innovate to remain competitive. That's what it means. Influence its suppliers by signing long-term contracts. So we're talking about influencing suppliers. Influencing suppliers. So what it means that long-term contracts can control supplier behavior. For example, a retailer requires suppliers to meet quality standards. Create new uses of a product by finding new customers. So here we are talking about creating new uses for products. We're talking about creating new uses for products. So finding new markets increases what? Demand. That is how you create new uses for product by finding new customers. So that's that. Influence regulators through lobbying as well as bargaining. Through lobbying as well as bargaining. So here we're talking about influencing regulators. We're talking about influencing regulators. Influencing regulators. So business lobby government to shape policies. That is that. Business lobby government to shape what? Policies. Initiate bargaining sessions between management and unions. You were talking about bargaining with unions. So we are talking about the negotiations affect wages and working conditions. Influence its owners using information contained in annual reports. So influencing owners as well as shareholders. So reports guide owners' decisions. We know that. Negotiate strategic alliance agreement through contractual processes. So you hear about strategic alliance. So business partner to gain advantage. Any other relevant answers related to the ways in which business can have a direct influence on the environment. So now let us go to question 4. Let us be on question 4. So here we are on question 4. We're going to talk about miscellaneous business environment's influence on and control factors relating to business environment and challenges of the business environments. So 4.1, the first question says list 2 components of the micro environment. List 2 components of micro environment. So here we are on our answers. 2 components of microenvironment, that is the business mission and objectives, its management structure, the resources and its culture, primarily controlled by the entrepreneurs management. So we know when you're talking about the business mission as well as objectives, we know that this defines the purpose of the business and what it wants to achieve in the short as well as long term. For example, when you're still on that, we can say a mission to provide affordable products to local communities. That is that. That is a mission. An objective, you can say an objective to increase sales by 15% within 1 year. Those are our practical example. Also, another component, as we have said, it's a management, it's management structure. So management structure, we know very well, shows how authority, responsibilities, and decision-making are organized in the business. So that is that. So also, they talk about what resources and culture controlled by the entrepreneurs management. So now let us go to question 4.2. Outline the advantages of networking in the business. Advantages of networking in the business. So here we are on our answers. The advantages of networking in the business. Business can attract new customers, resulting in increased market share and profitability. Meaning to say, networking helps business reach new clients, increasing sales as well as market share. That's what it means. For example, while you're still on that point, meeting potential clients that at a trade fair or getting customers referrals through business contacts will be aggregated. Now moving on, networking can be an excellent source of new perspectives and business ideas. Source of new ideas as well as perspectives. So networking exposes business to a new way of thinking and innovation. That's what it means. Also, it further on says allows managers to build new business relationships and generate new business opportunities. So it allows managers to build new business relationship and generate new business opportunities. So you build business relationships and opportunities. So it means that strong networks create partnerships and future business opportunities. Plays a role in the marketing and expansion of a business. So it means that helps with marketing and expansion. So networking increases brand awareness, we know that, and supports business growth. That is that. That can happen by promoting products at networking events or expanding into new markets through business actions. So that's that. Assist business in marketing future business decision. So assist in decision making in short. That means advice and shared experiences help managers make informed decisions, sound decision. Business can gain support when representation. Business can gain support when representation to various authorities is planned. So gain support when dealing with authorities, meaning to say networking provides representation and collective support. That can be through business associations lobbying government, business associations lobbying government. That is that. So now, we are to go to the next question at 4.3. 4.3. 4.3 is a differentiate between strike and go slow. Differentiate between strikes and a go slow. So we are to differentiate that. So let us move on. So here we are, where now we are differentiating strike as well as go slow. Here is our strike, and here is our go slow. So strike, temporary collective refusal of employees to work. That is a strike. A strike is a complete and organized stoppage of work by employees. That is that. For example, workers refusing to work until wages are increased. That is that. Or employees striking over unsafe working conditions. That's what it means. But go slow. The employees still carry on with their work, but at a much slower pace than normal. So employees continue working, but deliberately reduce productivity because they're going to work very slow. They're going to reduce the pace of working. Hope we are together on that. So, example, workers refusing, okay, or no. Let us go to collective. A collective or organized cessation of work by employees to force employers to accept their demands. That is when we are talking about what? A strike. But if go slow, the employees aim to disrupt the workplace production. They continue work, but they want to disrupt the workplace production so that the production is not that going to be much. They are trying by all means to reduce it, to affect it. But under strike, workers will not be fired if they participate in a protected strike. So if the strike is protected, they are not going to be fired. Workers participating in a go-slow are often punished, sometimes fired, because now they are affecting production, remember. So it is easy for them to get fired. So that's that. So any relevant answers on go slow as well as strike. So that's that. So now let us go to 4.3. Question 4.3. Yes, it says business environments, adapting to challenges to business environments. Or 4.3, we've already did it. That was the difference between strike and go slow. So now we have to come to 4.4, sorry. 4.4. 4.4. Read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. Here is our scenario. Moloko bus service. Pretty and cashier at Moloko bus service issues some receipts for money collected for weekly tickets from her own receipt book. She then deposits the money into her personal account. So now we are to answer the questions that follows. Identify the socio-economic issue discussed in the above scenario. So this is 4.4. 1. So that is economic crime. That is economic crime. So economic crime, we know we are talking about the illegal activities committed to gain financial benefits. So that is that. So now let us go to 4.42. 4.42 says, discuss the impact of socio-economic issues identified in 4.41, which is economic crime, above on the business. So that is that. So we go to our answers. So here we are on our answers. In economic, the impact of economic crime on business. Impact of economic crime on business. As it says, loss of income. If the money was stolen from a business, loss of income. So that is money stolen, reducing what? Profits. Loss of jobs if a business closed down. People are going to lose what? Shop. Loss of job if the business get closed. So it means business may close or downsize due to financial loss. Business lose investors. Business lose investors. So what it means is that investors lose confidence in the business if there is this economic crime. So investors will be withdrawing funding. That is that. Leads to decrease in investors' confidence, resulting in poor economic and business growth. So it means economic crime discourages investment and slows growth. So any relevant answer is accepted. So now let us go to question 4.5, which is our last question. It reads as follows: suggest the reasons why businesses lobby. Why businesses lobby? So now your own reasons why business lobby. Reasons why business lobby. As it says, business lobby their regulator or supervisory body in order to try to influence prices. So it means business lobby to shape laws affecting them, influence policies and regulations. So that's that. Business or people lobby or change laws like child labor laws, clean air, water laws, municipalities, regulations, and etc. So they change or improve laws. So business lobby to amend unfair, outdated laws. That's what it means. They lobby to amend unfair, outdated laws. Their views are important and heard, thus making a difference and giving solutions to business challenges. So that is that. Ensure views are heard. Lobbying gives business a voice in decision making. Lobbying advances businessmen's cause and builds public trust. So we are saying build public trust. Lobbying promotes transparency and accountability. So any other related to the reasons why business lobby is accepted. So this is the end of a presentation as in our next presentation, we are going to do the essay questions of this question paper. And thank you very much for your time. And make sure that, guys, you don't forget to hit the subscription button. And as well, don't forget to share with those who are concerned. Thank you very much.